What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fluff Hammer. Today I decided randomly to just paint a Necron. I've decided to do the blade first. I'm going to do this whole guy up. I've made a little custom base for him, which is on here. I'm going to be doing a tutorial for the base as well. I'm going to do lava bases. I've used some resin parts, some slate parts, and stand him in there. But today, mainly, just going to be concentrating on that blade. And I'm going to show you the kind of step-by-step how I've done it. It's the first time I'm going to be using the Tesseract paint from Games Workshop, the Tesseract Glow. And I've got to be honest, I think it's awesome. I'm not normally one for the kind of technical paints as such. I really didn't rate the Nighthaunt ones. They done the Gloom and stuff. Didn't like them. This, however, is a completely different ballpark. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get into it.
Okay, so here we are. We're going in with a base coat, just base coated the blade black. You can use any brand you wish. I went with Pro Acryl Coal Black. It's a really nice matte black. And then we're going into Citadel Caliban Green. And I've just diluted that roughly 50-50, maybe slightly more than 50-50, with just straight up with just water. And then I'm using the box art here from the Necrons, and I'm just basically following the patterns from the heavy metal team, how they've done this. If you look at it, it kind of like the inside of the blade is brightest at the top and the bottom, and the outside of the blade is darkest at the top and the bottom, so you've got the kind of switch between the two. Next up, I'm adding some Warpstone Glow into the Caliban Green, so it's going to be roughly a 50-50 mix of the two, and again just adding a little bit more water. And the whole basis of this is basically paint over all the Caliban Green areas, except you're aiming to leave just a little bit of the Caliban Green in between. I'm not going for like super smooth blends here. I actually like these a little bit textured. So if you can see, I was pulling the brush away and leaving almost like tiny little spikes. You're going to see it more here again now. Just sharp little spikes like dags. And I'm also just edge highlighting absolutely every part as I go. So even on the darkest parts, the lightest parts, around the edge of the blade, everything, edge highlighting as I go. You'll have to excuse the husky voice. I've got either some sort of post-pandemic voice, or I've picked up a cold in the last week. I don't really know what's going on. But yeah, so you'll have to excuse that. But yeah, anyway, so we're just finishing off this stage now, which is the Warpstone Glow 50-50 with Caliban. Just reinforcing a few areas there where it didn't get the coverage that I wanted it to. And then we're going straight into pure Warpstone Glow. Again, all of these stages are at least 50-50 diluted with water. I've been using the like dilution fluids a lot recently, but just water for this is absolutely fine. That's all I've been using for this was water. And then yeah, it's the same pattern again really. So I'm dragging the brush towards where I want it to be, the pigment to be the heaviest. So where you lift the brush off the model is where it will deposit the most paint. So that's why you can probably see me here moving the model up and down, upside down and back the right way up, because I'm always dragging away from where I want it to be the lightest. And then as I'm going through, I'm edge highlighting everything again with this colour to keep the edge highlights consistent, and also to build up so you don't have too much of a harsh difference on the edges. And I'm also trying to follow that line through the middle of the blade. These little circles here have a very, very fine ridge on them, which I'm trying to keep highlighted as well. And you can see I'm just blocking in that centre bit there. This is just following the box art really, so that's always a good place to start if you're wanting to know, when you're doing things like this, what areas to blend and what areas to have as the light points and the dark points. The Heavy Metal team do a great job, so following the box art is good reference. And as you can see, once again, I'm just refining those edge highlights as well. Now we're going from the Warpstone Glow and we're going to go into some moot green. That's 50-50 here with the Warpstone Glow, and we're going to follow the exact same stages again. You can see the little lines I was talking about, much more evident there once we've gone into that green. Don't worry about it too much, because I don't want the blade to look like mega textured. I want it like to have some subtle texture, but without being like perfectly smooth. But we're going to be adding glazes to darken down into the black, and we're also going to be adding some of the Games Workshop Tesseract Glow over top. And actually I found that really good for smoothing out the color transitions. It actually made a massive difference, which I didn't think it would do, but it's added a huge level of saturation to the blade, which was really useful, and actually also done a really good job of blending the layers as well. So as you can see, I'm now just going over some bits and pieces again, just reinforcing this colour, keeping the paint nice and thin, kind of the texture of milk, or a little bit thicker. I'm using the wet palette from Red Grass Games. I really like it actually. Sometimes it can let a bit too much water through the layer, but I think there's a new one now coming out that doesn't let quite as much water through, so I'm definitely going to have to give that a look, because this one you can sometimes end up with a bit of flooding, which isn't ideal. Anyway, so next we're going into just pure moot green. I'm just going to work my way around the entire blade, exactly the same as the last three stages. We're just going to work our way around, following all the edge highlights and just leaving a little bit of the previous layer. So next up we're going to go into some Dorn yellow, and I'm going to be adding that into the moot green, so you get a kind of 50-50 of the two. I don't want a too quick a jump straight over to the Dorn yellow. It's quite pastel-y, so it can leave some of these colours washed out a little bit. So adding some moot green into it for this first highlight stage is really helpful, because it just gives it a bit more saturation rather than ending up in like an ice yellow colour. So as you can see, that's really helped just to keep the saturation a bit higher and not give us a washed out pastel look. So this bit is not a huge amount of blending. It's mainly just edge highlighting everything and then just adding a tiny little smooth layer at the bottom. Here I'm also diluting the paint more. So I've done the edge highlights with the paint about 50-50, because if you dilute it too much, it's almost impossible to edge highlight with too wet a paint. And now I'm just smoothing out some of these edges where we're getting the transition into the Dorn and the moot mix. I don't want the transition there to be too harsh. And now we're straight into pure Dorn yellow. And this is going to be for the sharpest edges really, so I'm going to be doing very little to no blending on it, and it will just be for all the way around the edges and edge highlighting each individual little piece. As you can probably tell from this video, it is very time consuming doing all these little things just on one blade, but at the end of the day, if you've got the time to spend and you're going for this kind of level model, I think these blades are some of the coolest things you can paint in all of Warhammer, really. I absolutely love them. I think the look of the blades is awesome, and I think they're just so much fun to paint. As you can see, I've then just added a little bit of dorn just to the edges of the blade to just smooth that blend out, but you can see we've lost quite a lot of saturation from it. It's quite a pastel-y colour. I'm going to just get some bold titanium white from Pro Acryl and just do some tiny little dots. It's basically where 2 or 3 highlight points all meet together. I'm just doing a tiny little dot just on some sharp edges. You can see like the bottom corner of the blade where 2 edges meet, things like that. Just some tiny little dots. And then, as I said earlier, we're going to do some glazes, just so you can see the consistency there. I've spread it right out on the wet palette, and just make sure it's, as you can see there on the surface, so thin, dries really fast. And that's just to deepen those blacks, just to make sure we've got a nice deep contrast. And then we're into the Tesseract Glow. So I've mixed this 50-50 with the contrast medium. I believe it's exactly the same as Lahmian medium, if that's what you've got. And I'm just painting this all over the blade, but I'm actually making an effort to miss the edge highlights. I'm also doing a few other bits on the model while we're there, just as I've done them off camera. And that is basically our blade finished. I'll put some pictures up now so you can see it. I hope you like the finished look. It's the best I can do into replicating the heavy metal team look that they've done for these new Necron blades. I think the Tesseract Glow paint is absolutely awesome, and in person it had really lost a lot of saturation on that blade, so I think it really helps the overall look. But yeah, any other questions, please stick a comment below. If there's any videos you'd like to see, please let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you very much. See you in the next one. Bye bye.